Hi, my name is Rachelle Smith, entrepreneur, professional speaker, and author. Last time, highlighted the importance of really making sure things are tight in your facility, and I actually mentioned the fact that I've been partaking in these awesome opportunities to actually formally audit fitness centers here across the Southeast Michigan area. And I'm actually so excited. I actually have a couple more on this coming Monday in mid-Michigan. So I got to hit the gym on Monday morning, come home, shower, get in my car and hit the road. So looking forward to it. But what I want to do in the spirit of some inspiration that I actually gleaned from an audit I performed actually early last week, I want to encourage you all to adopt an audit mentality. And you're sitting there saying, now, Rachelle, adopt an audit mentality. Are you crazy? I don't want to invite any type of scrutiny. I don't want to be under the gun like that. I don't want my people to be under the gun. I don't want anything to do with that. But what I want to encourage you to do in spirit, actually, of all of these different facilities that I've been to, and as I mentioned in the last episode, only type of facilities that are going to undergo something like this are ones that know their facilities are tight. And so I ask you, what do you think about your facility? Is your facility tight? How well would you do if me or someone else were to come in and actually evaluate from top to bottom, inside and out, layer by layer? All right. But those gyms who do well, those gyms who succeed, are those who always have the mindset of how can we improve? Where do we stand? But also be willing to get some objective insight, some objective feedback in terms of recognizing and uncovering potential weaknesses, but also strengths and opportunities, people that are really making things happen in your gym, some outliers who are really standing out in terms of your staff members, making you look good. That's all part of it. But folks, early last week, I had an opportunity to spend time in a facility here in Metro Detroit. Again, I can't give any formal details to help you identify it, but folks, all I can say is this: it knocked my socks off. So it can be done. You know, it wasn't perfect, absolutely not, but they did a lot of things right, and I just was so inspired. And actually, in terms of writing up my evaluation at the end of the day, when I sit that in, actually there's always, the final question, what was best or what pleased me the most. And so, of course, I mentioned recognized a couple of staff members, one, a trainer, and number two, the salesperson. But also what disappointed me most and how I answered that question was I hated to leave. And let that sink in. I hated to leave. All right. But this particular facility has worked extremely hard in terms of developing incredibly strong systems of accountability. All right. They've got 7,000 contract only members. So there's no contract and having members funnel in and out. No, contract only. A boatload of paying members. And are doing extremely well. And just some of the highlights, just to kind of point out some of the things that they certainly did well. They do quarterly fire drills. All right, the staff is everybody, because you never know what if a fire were to break out, do you or your staff know what you would do? All right, safety drills. All right, all staff members have their certification CPR and also know how to utilize the defibrillators and all of that. They don't care if you're the salesperson. Actually, when I was actually on the tour in this facility, this one young guy dropped one of the weights. He was doing some deadlifting, and he dropped one of the weights, and everyone kind of looked at him. And then actually, as the salesperson's giving me the tour, she stops and says, "Wait, hold on just a second. I got to check and make sure he's all right. Because if he goes down, if anybody in this gym goes down, any of us are in a position to go and get on that situation and make sure it's taken care of." So that's one of the wonderful things. Extremely strong sales culture. As I mentioned, one of the folks that I recognize as an absolute outlier, absolute shining star, was a salesperson. And absolutely, and it was kind of funny because I went in as a gym newbie. So you can imagine, number one, what an Oscar probably winning performance I did that day. But also did an excellent job. No pressure, no manipulation. And she actually kind of joked that I don't know what I would do if I had to work in a commercial gym where they actually, pressured me to get people to join. But I thought to myself, that's why these folks have 7,000 members. And she told me, you know what? If you want another guest pass, come on in. I'll give you 3, 4, 5, 6 guest passes. You come back until you're absolutely sure this is a gym for you. And we're pretty comfortable and confident that it is. No pressure. And so just did just an awesome job. But also a trainer. Again, I went in as a gym, can you show me how to operate this treadmill? Just did an outstanding job. So that young man demonstrated leadership, stepped up, was willing to interact and help a gym newbie in that particular situation. So there's always good things happening in all facilities. And so that's up to me to figure out who those people are and also recognize them. Okay, my gym here in Novi, probably the absolute, probably strongest person in terms of work ethic I've ever seen. It actually is a lady named Sue. And that lady, she's actually a member of the cleaning staff. I think she said she's been with them for 15 years. Just does an absolute phenomenal job. Incredibly loyal, incredibly focused. Takes just absolute, doesn't take anything for granted. A piece of paper could be this small on the floor. She's reaching down to pick it up. All right. So see, there's in a situation like that, I'm always looking for people like that. And I go to bat for somebody like her. I think she said she's, like I said, 15 years. Okay. My challenge for leadership would be, why is she still cleaning? Okay. She needs to be promoted. She needs to be, somebody that's that loyal and does a fantastic job and cares a lot about this gym, needs to be in a role like that. So I'm always looking for people to highlight, people to really go to bat for. So those are just a couple of examples. All right. Walking into this particular facility, on the door, it stated you were under video surveillance. Bam, right there as you're walking in the door. You want to talk about a very easy way to deter nonsense, criminal behavior, fights, all of that kind of stuff. All right, just let people know, because a lot of people don't understand. They don't know what those black domes are that are all over your gym. All right, but this gym, this particular facility lets you know walking in. And guess how many problems they have? None. They actually, and this is something that would actually be very tough to enforce, particularly these days, but they have a no cell phone policy. Yeah, you can listen to your cell phone to listen to music, whatever, but in terms of talking, you're not going to be anywhere talking on a cell phone on any one of those 1 or 2 levels on the floor. Okay, one of those staff members are going to come and going to shut you down until you walk to the front of the facility where calls are taken. Because what are they trying to do? Prevent people from talking all loud on the phone, and they don't recognize how loud they are, and that's just creating an environment that's just not cool. So they spend a lot of time working on those things, but a ton of great things that they did, a lot of best practices, but also, hey, there's a couple of things they did wrong. All right, number one, I'm on the tour. We passed the basketball court, and I said, that's always an area of vulnerability for any facility. Let's go to the basketball court. Okay, what was it? There were 6 basketballs just thrown all over the floor, but her reaction was very telling. She said, oh my gosh, somebody needs to come in here and get these basketballs before somebody trips and falls on them. Okay, so her reaction let me know, okay, that was out of the ordinary. All right, somebody's usually in here taking care of this stuff. Why? Because that is a liability. You got to keep your place picked up. Another pointer, actually, another weakness was, walking from the pool to the locker room area. Okay, the floor was slippery, all this water. Okay, wet people getting in and out, whatever, walking, and there was no sign, no wet floor sign. So again, somebody trips and falls. That's a liability situation. And so there were a couple of areas of opportunity and a boatload of things that they certainly did right. But I want to encourage you, again, in the spirit of a facility like that, or any of these facilities that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure and the passion to actually kind of go in and observe and to recognize, again, some wonderful staff members that they may have that may not be recognized right now. But folks, I think something that is very important and kind of at the heart of what I do, not just in fitness facilities, is just recognizing, are people doing what they're supposed to be doing? Okay, or is a salesperson, whether it's in a fitness facility or anywhere else, are they lying? Are they trying to manipulate me? Am I getting pressured? Whatever. So that's what I do. Again, I told you I wear several hats, but one of this is a consultant. One of those hats is a consultant. So I'm observing and I'm listening. All right. And I'm evaluating, whether people recognize it or not. But whether you own a facility, whether you're a general manager, assistant manager, training manager, trainer, janitor, whatever the case may be, if you adopt a mindset, just having an audit mentality that just says, hey, I'm going to do the best that I can each and every time I step foot in the doors. All right. That's all that it takes. Am I asking you to be perfect? Absolutely not. None of us is perfect. That would be an absolute waste of time. But if you adopt a mentality that says, hey, I want to make sure that I do the best that I can, that I'm a positive reflection on this facility, okay, or of this business, or of this corporation, all right, or of this family-owned business, whatever the case may be. Just have that mindset, and you don't have anything to worry about. You would say, I don't care if Rachelle comes into my place of business. I don't care if Rachelle comes into my place of work. I don't care if Rachelle comes into my gym, because I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and I have nothing to worry about. And that's what I'm just really putting the pieces together and looking at these facilities that have this audit mindset where they're just saying, hey, you can pop in anytime. Okay, again, management doesn't know, but leadership above, the owners know, and corporate people know. These are people that that just always have that mindset of just, hey, we don't care. Come in anytime. There's no notice, whatever, this and that. But most importantly, from a compliance standpoint, in terms of avoiding lawsuits. Now, you've heard me, I spent, 3 or 4 episodes earlier this summer talking about liability. Liability is huge. And that's part of what I'm doing, is trying to help these facilities stay out of legal trouble. Are people complying? Are things where they're supposed to be? All right. And so, and even in a rock star facility like that one that I saw early last week, we had a couple of liability issues on the basketball court, but also, from the swimming area, from the pool area to the locker room area. So it's something, no facility is going to be perfect, but I challenge you from a liability standpoint, get on top of those things that could get you in trouble, because, we as human beings, we all have blind spots. Fitness facilities, you're going to have blind spots, but I just want to make sure that you stay out of trouble. All right. Because somebody slips, somebody falls, you could be in big trouble. And again, your insurance company is going to be paying all this money. And, we've got some big lawyers here in town, your Jeffrey Feiger Law Group, your Sam Bernstein, which is the Michigan's first family of law, Mike Morse, all those guys, okay? They're waiting on you, or whatever state you may be. I have people all over the state and all over the world that tune into this, and I certainly thank you for your support. But just stay out of trouble. That's all I'm trying to say, is that you could be, doing everything you're supposed to be doing, and then there's this one little area of vulnerability, all right, that could end up, getting you in trouble. All right, my gym here in Novi, as I mentioned, wonderful, has a lot of strengths, but one definite, blind spot that I see has happened, time and time again is they tend to store, whether it be, new dumbbells, and now we've got, I believe it's 12, blue 45s, hammer strengths that have been in the front, and there's 6 small boxes sitting over there. So when new stuff comes in, it tends to sit on the floor, sometimes for weeks. And so that, of course, is an area of vulnerability. If somebody trips and falls, and then you've got, issue where a lot of senior citizens create their own, yes, there's a walking track, but they actually like to, walk through the main aisle and circle around on the track. Why? Because most of them, actually pretty much all of them in the morning shift were at ballets. All right. And they ballet at a dedicated track. So they're used to coming in the morning and walking. And I'm just concerned that somebody's going to trip and fall, particularly, senior citizens. And then you're also dealing in a workout environment where, syncope, somebody passing out, idiopathic, some type of issue where somebody may pass out or not see something or be distracted and trip and fall. And that's just something that, again, that's just a blind spot. This one lady, actually, it happened to be twice last week. Same lady. She and her husband were both 30-year members of Ballet Fitness here in Novi. Before it closed. Actually, they started in Plymouth and it came to Novi, and it closed in 2012, and they've been over there. We've all been over there since 2012. But last Wednesday, so what was that? The 9th. I'm sitting over here next to the rail. Here's the track. Here's the treadmills. Here's the rail, and they've actually got weight equipment. Okay, they're doing some renovations, some wonderful upgrades in one of the areas, and so they've got weight equipment all over the track. So from a fitness person, that's my gym. I don't care. I work around it. Shoot, I even do body work and stuff, on it, and stretching stuff on it. I like variety, so I have no problem. I'm adaptable, but most people aren't. All right, and this lady was furious. I'm sitting here doing bicep curls next to the rack, and she says to me, she walks and she says something, and I said, excuse me, person's name, I'm not going to mention her name, and she said, would you look at all this? She starts going off on some rant about, sooner or later I'm going to have to start walking outside, because again, why? She and her husband typically walk a few laps, then she will continue to walk laps by herself, and then her husband gets on the treadmill. All right, but she just had this problem with this. Then she repeated the same complaint to me on Friday, and I finally had to shut it down. Like, listen, they are doing some innovation. I mean, they're doing some renovations and some upgrades. It's only going to be, won't be much longer, but they're making some great improvements over there. Trust me. Anytime we're improving something, there's going to be some inconveniences, and I don't have a problem with them. But there's people like her, and there's people that just, kind of don't understand situations, but also from an audit standpoint, like I said, yeah, that's my gym, but if I walked into, again, one of these higher end private facilities that I've been auditing, corporate facility, that general manager would highly likely, because that is so far out of compliance, and that is just such a liability factor for a facility, that general manager, assistant manager would either be written up, be terminated. Yeah, that's a big deal in terms of liability, but it is what it is, and it's hey, I don't have no problem with it, but there's people like her that just really have a big problem with stuff like that. But just recognize you've got to protect yourself. All right, little things like that, you know, little things. And again, from an audit standpoint, one of my questions is always, are the walkways free and clear of debris, trash, and clutter? All right. And so theirs isn't even appropriate to ask free of weight equipment. But why? Because that's a huge liability. All right. But just recognize, make sure your walkways and things are clear, because if somebody trips and falls, like I mentioned, one of the other big three that we have here in Detroit, if you're here in Michigan, actually, they probably operate in all the different states. All right. With some of these negligence, you know, attorneys and personal injury attorneys will be calling your number if something happens for your facility. And I don't want anything like that to happen to you, to my gym, to any gym in this country or in the world. But just recognize, adopt an audit mentality, and just ask yourself, if somebody were to come in and objectively evaluate my facility here, what would they say? What improvements would they have? What people would they recognize? Am I promoting people? Because again, a lot of my feedback in terms of people getting raises, bonuses, promotions, all of that comes into play. That's why I love what I do, because a lot of time we all, you know, we can get these blind spots and not recognize that there are certain superstar employees you may have on your staff that you aren't even recognizing. All right, that may be loyal to you, may be doing a great job that your members love. But again, I'm that objective eyes and ears, and I've been able to make that happen. So adopt an audit mentality. Just do what you're supposed to do. Be a person of excellence. Be an exceptional person. And I assure you, you have nothing to worry about. Me or anybody else could roll in there at any point, and you know you would be good to go. You wouldn't be perfect, because none of us are, and no facility is perfect in the world, but you know that you would still do a great job. So I thank you so much for your time. Make it a wonderfully fit day.